YouTube channel. So just you know. Okay, so today we are going to start to a quick icebreaker with an Slido. So please scan the following code, the one you see in your left, and answer the first question. That is, where are you joining us from today? It's always exciting to know where everyone is joining us. Okay, we have already 5 results. 7. Okay, let's see. So Barcelona, Romania, Cyprus, India, Timisoara. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Italy, Ljubljana, Brussels. Okay, so nice to see that we have participants from various locations all around the world. Nice. Okay, so let's go to the next question, which is, yeah, you have the QR code. Now let's go back to the Slido. I'm with my team, Maria, and she's helping me with the IT issues. So the next question is just to know if you are first in this type of meetings or you already have been with us in another meeting. So the question is, what topic was discussed during the 9th meeting? So you have 4 possible answers: best practices of Register Award participants, city engagement, experiences and best practices of previous smart city projects, and this is my first time joining the meeting. Okay, so I see some responses already. Let's see. Yeah, so for most of you, it's your first time joining the meeting, so that's great to hear. And yeah, the correct answer was the best practices of Register Award. So I see that there are some all participants too. So thank you very much for joining us. Now I will kindly ask Maria to share the screen again. Okay, so for those who are joining the meeting group for the first time, my name is Paula Montero, and I work at EURADA as a Project and Policy Officer. EURADA is a European Association of Development Agencies, and I will be moderating the first half of the meeting. I'm joined by my colleague Maria, who is assisting me with the technical aspects. And this working group was established in 2020 in collaboration with the Lighthouse and Fellow City program of Horizon 2020, a positive project, and its purpose is to address issues related to smart cities and the preservation of cultural heritage. So in this 11th meeting, we are working on sustainable tourism. Smart tourism has become increasingly vital in the recent years, and we have 2 distinguished speakers with us today who will share a light on the perspectives and initiatives regarding this issue. Before we proceed to our third speakers, I would like to remind you some housekeeping rules. As I mentioned earlier, the session is going to be recorded, so we encourage you to have your cameras on. But if you wanted to keep it off, it's also fine. Please remember to switch off your microphone while you are not speaking, but if you have any question, you can unmute yourself or write the questions at the chat. Furthermore, if you would like to ask something to the speakers, you can address them and you can write them on the chat and we can address them on the Q&A session after the presentation. So on the next slide, you will find the agenda of today. As I told you, I will be moderating this first half of the session, And then my colleague Ana Ferreira from the Research and Development Engineer for EGP and Clustering and Coordination of the Work Package Leader of Positive will be moderating the Q&A discussion. So let's go for our first speaker. So please join me in extending a warm welcome to our first speaker, which is Mithat Predobnik, the Deputy Managing Director of Visit Ljubljana. He's responsible for the promotion and development of Ljubljana and Central Slovenia destinations. He oversees numerous projects aimed at positioning Ljubljana as a leading tourism destination. He was a key member in the core team that organized the activities from the European Green Capital in 2016, as well as in the team involved preparing the cultural and tourism development of Ljubljana in the next year. He has a lot of experience managing tourism flows and developing tourism products and brands. So, Mitya, would you like to share your own screen, or you prefer we can share your presentation and you indicate once you wanted to go to the next slide?
Paula, I would like to share my own screen, but
sure.
If it's not going to work, I will postpone it to you, okay?
No, you can share your own screen.
Okay,
cool. Fits to you better.
Just a second.
Great. Yeah, we can see your screen perfectly.
You can. Okay. Good. So first of all, Paula, thank you for the nice introduction. You could go on with the presentation of Ljubljana too, because you did it so nice. But well, I would try to use my 15 minutes to do my best. So first of all, as Paula already said, I'm Mitya. I come from Ljubljana Tourism, and we are the organization that was established by the municipality of Ljubljana to develop and promote Ljubljana. So we develop tourism products of Ljubljana and its region, and we also do the promotion not only in Slovenia, but also, of course, abroad. I have to tell you that Ljubljana got 95% of visitors from abroad. So we are mostly oriented to visitors that come from other countries, and there are only 5% of visitors from that are locals. This is because Slovenia is so small, and everybody that comes to Ljubljana goes to sleep in its home while it's only 1 hour drive, and you are at the other side of the country. So to go a little bit more into Ljubljana, I would like to warmly welcome you in a sustainably oriented destination that started its story of being transformed from a gray industrial city in year 2006, when Mayor Zoran Jankovic, who is still a mayor, got his first role. But it didn't start with him actually, and it didn't start with the Romans 2000 years ago, but we strongly believe that the first modern father of regenerative tourism in Ljubljana was Jože Plečnik. Jože Plečnik was an architect that was born 150 years ago, and he implemented his work after the First World War. And why we think that he was a father of circular economy that we strongly believe in Ljubljana, it is because he was using natural and local materials to rebuild the city. He was doing his work with local craftsmen, and he was already at that time thinking of planting as much plants as it is possible into the works that he did. You can see 3 of his works at the pictures. On the right side, green facade of the trees along the banks of the river, and then other of his 2 big works. How he was recycling all those things. So if you will cut a pillar from the market, which is on the left-hand side, if you cut it into half, you will see that inside it was not marble. Actually, he was using or reusing materials from buildings that were already demolished before. So inside of these beautiful columns, there are usually bricks. So he was using materials from quarries around Slovenia, and he did import very fashionable marble, I would say, from Italy or anywhere else. So that's why using and reusing all of those things, we called him the father of regenerative tourism. So all those things lead to Ljubljana being attractive, green, environmentally friendly destination. And I hope that you heard before this presentation that we are doing right now that Ljubljana is a green city. So how did it start in 2006, which I already mentioned with our mayor, is that Mayor Zoran Jankovic said that he will close down the city center for the traffic. And this is what really happened. You can see the picture of the old city, a part of it from the Castle Hill now. And all those red roofs buildings that you see are pedestrian zone. Before, there were cars driving here. And since he closed down the first part of the city, every year after 2006, we were closing more and more streets and turning Ljubljana into a huge pedestrian zone. And you can see that Ljubljana have quite a big public green space per capita from this 542 and more square meter per every resident. And that the biggest park in Ljubljana, which is called Tivoli Park, is even bigger than New York Central Park or London Hyde Park. So on the next two pictures, I shortly show you the picture of the Spring Park. At the back, you see the downtown of the city, which means that the park is really integrated into the city. And this is another part with a pond where especially young families like to stroll around. But otherwise, if you would like to really lose yourself, you see the forests at the back of the picture, where there are a lot of paths to run, to walk, just to enjoy the nature. So this was slowly the surface, I would say, the philosophy that we were implementing in the last 20 years to become green and sustainable city. In Ljubljana, we strongly believe that we cannot compare anymore the numbers of record 2019 year, as it is all around the world spread news, I would say. We would like to work much more on qualitative goals of the city than quantitative goals. And that means that we would like to raise the number of overnight stays, but not because there will be more visitors in the city. We would like to keep visitors a longer time in the city so that we can speak about sustainable destinations. Here you have a weekly program, which is probably very well known for everybody who comes from a city destination, do a little bit of explanation, try culinary, do the soup paddling and so on. So this is how I would try to persuade and do the promotion for the people to stay a little bit longer. We implemented our last strategy of tourism for the next few years until 2027. And the first pillar of the strategy was to work strong connection or to work strongly with our residents in the city. We strongly believe that residents are the biggest ambassadors of the city, and if a visitor feels very well among the city, in the city, then his feelings about the destination would be really cool, warm. So if you're coming to Ljubljana, the city said you will still see people, so residents of the city living in the city center. I can speak this from my own heart because I do live in the pedestrian zone. I look from my window exactly to the market where tourists are walking sometimes. So there's a restaurant in front of my door. So I really feel tourism, how it's influencing the city center. And we developed two projects, which you see here. So one is Ljubljana Tourism Week, and the other is Campaign for Residents of Ljubljana, with the aim to show the residents how they can participate or how tourism is influencing our or their day-to-day life. So in the first project, it is done in September. It lasts a week. Residents can really have the opportunity to get to know how it is to be a tourist in their own city. So there are a lot of events going on in that week, free for the citizens, and they are mostly directly to the citizens so that they see hidden corners of the city. They go to a free tour around the city. They can do soup, they can go to museums. So everything we are organizing roundtables just for them to talk about tourism and to tell them how tourism is important for the city. And the other one, which was also international awarded, was the Tourism Makes Ljubljana campaign. We did it now for 3 years. You can see here all the leaflets or the panels in Slovene language. And this is because we were telling to the citizens, so the residents of the city, why the money that comes from visitors to the city is used for, so that they see directly that if we collect tourism tax because of overnight stays, we put this money to rebuilding the green surfaces of the city, to make the events in the city center, which they can of course all attend for free, to pay the costs for the electric cavalier, which you have on the picture here, the little electric vehicle that is free of charge and is driving around the pedestrian zone. And let's say the last project that we will communicate is that we are right now building a new fountain in the city center, which can be used for the people to go there, not only to drink water, which is perfectly safe in Ljubljana, but also to enjoy playing around it and so on. So for these campaigns, we are measuring how people are feeling the tourism, and we got also the answers if the campaign is successful. And for the last 2 years, it was very successful, and that's why we are doing it this year too. The campaign is provided through the city lights, through the web pages, through Facebook, and so all the social medias. So we are all the time asking ourselves in the last years how we are doing our work and what are the measures that we can do. So that's why we introduced quite a lot of key performing indicators. I'm not going to go through all of them. Maybe we can talk about some later, but I would just like to point out number 2, the Green Scheme of Slovenian Tourism. So this is a program done by the National Tourism Organization. Destinations are awarded by signs, I would say, like bronze, silver, gold, platinum. And all the program includes more than 100 steps that you, or steps or criteria that you have to fulfill if you would like to get the brand. And these criteria are very, very narrow. They're very, you can actually you can measure them. What I wanted to say is that, let's say, one of the criteria is how many hotels in the destination are do have green certificates. So at the first year when we started to apply for this scheme, there were only, let's say, 2 or 3 hotels, and then we saw that if we would like to get more scores to get to the higher to the platinum award, we have to persuade hotels to do the green certificates. And so I would just like to practically show you how these things are going. And of course, these are the perfect key performing indicators that you see year after year, how we are progressing at the road of sustainability that we put in Ljubljana. For the end, I just would like to talk also a little bit about energetically advanced Ljubljana. We are implementing so-called energy renovation of buildings program. This is the program of municipality of Ljubljana and private partners. And this is very important for the tourism too, because a lot of different public buildings, institutions, galleries, museums, sport capacities, swimming pools were rebuilt according to energetically advanced criteria. And therefore we use, of course, all this infrastructure for the tourism. One future project, which is very important for us, is, I don't know, we didn't speak how many of you were in Ljubljana already, is that in front of the old city center, Ljubljanica splits into 2 parts and ends again after the old part of the city gets together. There are 2 ramps in the river nowadays, but boats which can float on Ljubljanica cannot float the round way because of these 2 ramps. So just ongoing project of Ljubljanica River will change this thing. So it will be possible, the ramps will be rebuilt, the boats would be able to float all around, and the energy that comes from lowering and upping the level of water at the ramps will be used for the city. So this is also good for the tourism. It's not just an infrastructural project, because we would be able to do a tourism attraction so that people can jump on the boat, float around the city, and enjoy its, I would say, river view. And on the other side, we will use boats for the public transport, so that it will be a kind of a bus transport around the city. So I will just show you 1 minute long movie of Ljubljana so that you will get a quick glimpse for those who were not here yet, and for you who were here to remember how it was.
Ljubljana, Slovenia, a capital city with a green soul, a mindset of reuse and regeneration, the largest vehicle-free zone in the EU, and one of the highest percentage of green space per person. A city rebuilt with a human-centered approach connected to the natural world. A garden-to-table culture where nearly everything comes from the farms that surround Ljubljana.
We decided to just get our own garden. The idea of closing down the city center just for pedestrians and cyclists is perfect. And then we have the Cavalier service.
The Japanese knotweed is invasive plant.
Harvesting invasive plants and making them into paper.
We have a lot of rainy days, and because I have this special knowledge, I continue this work.
Slovenia collects the highest percentage of solid waste in Europe and has a green waste process that emits enough energy to power the entire Zero plant. A green jewel in the heart of Europe. It's no wonder that Ljubljana is the greenest of capitals.
Well, this brings us to the last slide. Our sustainability was awarded a lot of times, and we really do strongly believe that we really enjoy our green city. And for the end, as our mayor always likes to say, be welcome, be warmly greeted in the safe, really safe and green Ljubljana. And as he said, the most beautiful city in the world. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucia. I found your presentation super interesting. Right now, I just want to take a flight and go to Ljubljana to visit Ljubljana. I've never been there. So thank you very much.
You have my email now, and you can just let me know. I will wait for you.
Thank you very much. So now let's turn our attention to our next speaker. Please join me to welcoming Harshap on our next slide. He's a researcher and a platform development at Uninova. He holds a PhD in computer engineering from the University of Évora in Portugal, and his research focuses on developing machine learning solutions that can perceive, learn from, and appropriate response to people in real-time situations. He has been actively working in European projects since 2015. So good morning, Harshap.
Good morning.
So nice to see you. Do you want to share your own screen, or
Yeah, that would be better.
Okay.
That would be better.
Great. So we'll let you share your own screen. Great.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So hello, everybody. Welcome. Today I'll be talking about the Texture project. It's one of the European Horizontal 2020 project. It's about rethinking culture, tourism in Europe and beyond. So basically, when we speak about our European project, every project has their own objective. So within the Texture, our objective is to co-designing, pioneering and sustainable culture tourism strategies in order to improve the deprived areas in Europe and beyond. So there are some places within the Europe where the tourism is actually not going because they're not yet that much developed, or they're not yet been in the market or in the publicity. So that's what we are doing within the project. It started on the 1st January 2021 and it will be lasting for 45 months. And we are 18 partners from 13 different countries. So when we say sustainable tourism, in the previous talk also we heard sustainable tourism. So what is actually sustainable tourism? Which makes an optimal use of environmental resources and maintains ecological process and helps the nature, heritage and biodiversity. So when we come to tourism, we all know we cannot ask much from a tourist. So it should be in a way that everything is being maintained. This respects the social culture, authenticity of hosts and communities. It contributes to inner cultural understanding and tolerance, and it ensures variable long-term economic operations. So we all know that Europe runs, most of the countries runs from the tourism, and it is very much famous for its own cultural heritage. So that should be maintained, and that's what we call about sustainable tourism. So within these opportunities, that what we can do in terms of culture tourism in cities and rural areas. So there are over tourism is going on to be a part of the game. Again, after losing the pandemic, during the pandemic, there were no tourists, but just within this few years, it has been a lot of tourists are coming to Europe. Need to adopt the model based on sustainability and not to continuous growth. Tourism considered much more than economic sector by processing new and different strategies, because if you just run with the old strategies, the tourism will not be attracted. You need to really come up with a digital era where tourism should be attracted. And we should focus on measurable and analyzable solutions, considering from the historical point of view. So what is our goal? Our goal is to integrate sustainability. Our goal is to develop tourism activities and to involve local communities. And what would be the result? The result would be a greener environment, healthier economy, and happier people. So how do we achieve within the texture? So what we are doing within the texture, we are developing a policy. We are also focusing on economic, and we are getting along or making the local community stakeholder to be part of the project. At the same time, as an expert, we are all doing a research. And all together, we are coming up with something called as action. And then for action, we are having a platform. So we have within the Europe, you can say from west to east, we have all the pilots. It's from Crespi, Narva, Undibinland, Vieira, Terbinie, Tarnowski, Gori, then Hua, and Anfe and Ficardo. So all of them have a different, let's say, from over tourism to no tourism kind of thing. So how did we come up with co-designing ad hoc sustainable culture tourism strategy in the project? So what we did, we divided into 4 different stages. In the first stage, what we did with the local pilot. So from all the 8 pilots, we talked that, okay, within your region, what should be developed? And how do you think within this project it should be developed? So what they did, they talked with the local stakeholder, local vendors from that places and asked, okay, if there is a tourism, how do you think the tourism will increase? What action should be taken by municipality or by some private companies that the tourism will increase in coming years? Or what facilities should be increased so that the tourism will get better? And that we come as an action. And from that action, we talked within the project that what can be done within the project framework and what can be done out of the project framework as external funding. And then it came to implementation. Okay, if we implement, what should be the criteria? Imagine that in some local site, there are a number of ATMs, which are 3, where you can withdraw money. But during the summer season, it's not enough. So the tourists will not go to that area telling that there is no money transaction. So it should be 5. So that is a target. So within the project, can we do it or not? So different phases came to different, let's say, a planning. After that, it came to something called as an action card. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see these 2 photos, right? Can somebody reply me? Or is it too small?
Yeah, we can see them, the pictures. Maybe a bit small the letters, but we can mostly see them.
Let me share the different screen, maybe.
Okay.
Can you see
Okay,
now?
yeah,
Yes,
now
much
much
better.
better.
Yeah. So this is collection cards. So we have a lot of them. So it says a type of heritage, culture tourism type. So let me give you an example. So this is an action card one, dark tourism as a recovery strategy in BH1 country. So it's a country in China and they want to recover from dark tourism. So what is the description of action? What they want to do in implementation? What are the actors that are involved? Meaning the local stakeholders that are involved. Who will be financing that resource? And from this, what we can learn? Okay, so this is a kind of action that if we follow or if you implement, something will come up as a result, which will be in the positive side. So these were the sample strategies that were taken from all the different projects. There is a reference to where it was found. So we gave this to all the pilots and then they made their own action card, which are not shared here because they are in form of deliverable and we cannot share it with public yet. So using this action card, what we did, for each pilot, we have a set of actions which are in the action card, and then we try to incorporate into ICT platform. So if you have something that can be helped through ICT, then it should be done. So a project has a two different, let's say, a kind of completion. So one is on a theoretical and implementation side, and the other is on ICT support. So imagine the key performance indicators, right, which was mentioned previously. How do you measure that? So if you are going to measure KPIs for whole Europe, it would be much difficult if you are going on paper. So there should be some way of measuring them, registering them, and monitoring them. So there where it came a textual platform. It also helps in identifying a point of interest, different routes, local product promotion, visitor satisfaction, occupancy rate, and much more. So you don't need to go and use a Google map. You can use your own maps. You can put your own points. You can put your own routes. So a platform is something like this. Let me show. So this is a platform link. I can put it in chat. If you want to explore together, you can do it. So if you go to general, so there are something called pilot where they can insert the information. For that, you need to be a registered user. We also have something called general information, which is for all the visitors who are visiting the site. And you have a user manual how to access the site. And it is ongoing process. It's in a beta version. Still, it will be much more developed. And I think the final version will be done by December 2024. So here you will be seeing all the pilots which are part of the project. And then if you go here, let's say we go to Anhui. And then for this, we have 8 ICT surveys, which we call point of interest, route, which are coming, which is going to coming soon. The events, local product promotion, establishment promotion, occupancy rate, visitor survey, and visitor flow. So this all were came up by the pilot after talking with local stakeholders, after talking with everybody who were involved in that particular site. They made a list that if these things were done digitally, it would really help for a tourist and to have a better sustainable tourism. So if I go to point of interest, to just give an example. So you can see this is an Anhui map. And let me scroll down to one of the point. And if I click here, let's go to another place where the pilot has given a better data. So you can see things are in a bit more development stage. So here you can see in the Ficardo, this is church, and they have their own description, they have their own photo. Also within this point of interest, you can add video, audio for those who are physically challenged. They can hear and listen about all those things. You can have videos and as well as images. So there are a lot of services and there are a lot of pilots. So this is what we are talking about Texture platform and how the platform and pilot works. So first we came up with the strategies, and then we have a platform, and then we have a monitoring and deployment. So it goes in the loop. You implement, you monitor if things are not working, if the KPIs are not working as they should, and then you change the strategies. So the process continues, and at the end of the project, you have a much more defined strategy, and you have a test case. And within the project, these are the consortium that are involved. And please visit us as a Texture project website. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing your valuable expertise in this topic. So now I'm certain that our audience will have eager to engage in a further discussion. So I will hand over the floor to Ana Ferreira for this Q&A session. If you have any question, you can write it on the chat or just unmute yourself and you can ask.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Please, if you have any questions, do so. Like Paula said, I must say that I'm very happy with the presentations. They've been most insightful. And like Paula, I want to go to Ljubljana now. So well done to Mitja. I think my first question would go to Mitja, in the sense that sustainable tourism ends up having a double purpose. It increases tourism and boosts the economy, but it also increases the local quality of life, right? So do you feel that the goal is, as you said, the goal is not to attract more tourism now, is to attract longer visits and to increase the quality of tourism? Do you feel like sustainability in itself is attracting more tourism and the quality of tourism longer stays also? Do you feel like your strategy is paid off?
I would certainly go for the answer yes, but to be honest, this is a ongoing process. You can't change things over the night. It takes time, it takes good practices, it takes knowledge, it takes spreading the information, sharing them, and talking to people. Just 2 days ago, we finished the third focus group that we have with the people, so the residents living in the city center. How do they feel in the city center while tourism is around? And we got good results. We were worried that, okay, they will say, oh, there's too much tourists already around. Ljubljana is too well known that it's green and sustainable. But we didn't get answers to that, not at all. They're still keen on tourism. They still think that tourism brings good things to the city. And so our job now as a DMO is to strengthen this position and knowledge that we have about tourism and managing tourism flows and their feelings in the city center. One of the things that I would maybe like to point out is that there is still a lot of place to improve those things. Let's say Ljubljana is a city break destination. But around Ljubljana, there are a lot of green places because Slovenia is really green country. We are more than 60% covered by the forests. So there are still places around the city where we can attract people to go. So again, we are back at the beginning of the loop. If they come, they could stay longer and enjoy more, not only in the city center, but also at the region of Ljubljana in the circle around the city.
Okay. So, Mitja, do you feel like sometimes when we're thinking about tourism and we're thinking about increasing the economy, we may forget other dimensions like citizen happiness, and that apparently is something that you have into consideration when you're doing these workshops. Do you feel like it's important to have this constant engagement and feedback to kind of direct the activities of your department in the future?
This is one of the things seriously that concerns us the most, because gentrification is happening, I think, in every destination, especially boom destination with visitors.
Like Lisbon, yes.
Yeah, like Lisbon, like Venice, like Rome, like everywhere. So yes, this is a serious question. And it's not like you will do it like click and you will got all the answers. I said that I do live in the city center, actually in the pedestrian zone, and I feel what's this dimension between tourists, or visitors on one side and residents on the other side, and dialogue between residents of the city center and us as a DMO is very, very important. And we will go on with it because we think that only with talking we can see obstacles, we can see dangerous things on the way that we are going to. And only with talking you can save the problems and answer to the questions that residents have. And one of the things is that we don't want to be Disneyland. We don't want to be a city where you will see only beautiful facades, pay for the drink and leave. No, this is really not what all of us are looking for when we go abroad.
Okay. Do you see like differences in trends in tourism in terms of what tourists want and what is attracting tourists to cities now?
Yes, we do. Things are changing, especially after 2020, so the famous pandemic time. We do measure and notice those things also through the Tourist Information Center, which is part of our organization. We see that people do look for how to say it, they want to be a bit more on their own, not so much in a crowd. They are asking for the places which were not popular, let's say, a few years ago, mainly connected to the nature, of course, in Slovenia and Ljubljana. And yeah, that's it. There is a change. Of course, there are still tourists coming to the city on the buses that are bus tourists, but those who are not, they are looking for different kind of attractions and Jesus, English word, I've lost it.
And destinations.
Yeah, at the destination. Yeah.
It's funny because people are traveling more, but they want more exclusivity.
which is a paradox on one side, because as much as more people are traveling, it's more difficult to get exclusivity. But if we manage the system the right way, the flows the right way, there is still a lot of places, as I said, to do so. There are many places, many destinations which still are not developed as those boom cities are, and well, there is enough of world for us to travel around.
Okay. Even in small countries, right?
Come to my hometown, there are no tourists yet, and there are beautiful things to see. So
okay, there's plenty of work for you for the next years for sure. The next question I have for you, and probably the last ties up with the presentation also of Khashyap with Textour. Do you feel like tourism apps, information apps help are needed tools to help manage all the tourism world right now?
If you will ask older generation, probably the answer is going to be different than with youngers.
Yes.
So yes, digitalization in all ways is a must, is a future. It's not a future. It's today. So yeah, the answer would be yes. All kinds of different apps and digital things are more than needed, and they do help. Collecting the data in the real time and combining them with different kind of criteria can be used very well to manage the destination and to manage the tourism flows. Yeah, so either for the information for the visitors that are in the city, let's say where is the nice restaurant, where to sit down. Either for those coming to the city, is there a free parking place in the garage? Either for us who are managing the place.
Yeah, for stakeholders, for sure.
Yes, for everybody, and yeah.
Okay, so Ketchup, now next to you. Thank you for being here. I didn't know you were a colleague from Portugal, so it's good to have you. And I'm sure Uninova really appreciates your efforts. Like, my question would be like, what were the main needs that pilots addressed for you to identify strategies for?
So basically, what pilot feels like when the tourists come, they're not exposed, meaning that a tourism place which are very remote, they don't have their own website, or let's say they are not well known within the tourism community. So one of them is to expose them to the world, right? So there are a lot of sites that are there, but nobody knows, because only local will know. But
Okay.
local are not connected direct to the global community. So imagine if you're going to Switzerland, then where you will go? So that's the first question, right? So if you know a local community and they are also there, so they can promote themselves. So that was an idea. And most of all the 8 pilots, what we have, they all told that we want a map to say point of interest. So these are the point of interest that a visitor should visit. Because we read blogs and then we visit the place, right? We don't read what the local people are telling, because there is no way to know that.
Yeah. So integrate a little bit more this local knowledge.
Yes, because the local community should be more involved in exposing themselves.
Okay.
So this platform allows that.
My question would be like, for destinations that aren't so well known or developed, would like the main partner or stakeholder, would it be like the municipality or the tourism department? Maybe the municipality is the first link?
Yes, municipalities.
Okay, and how is it working with them?
So we have a different hierarchy within the project. So we have a pilot, and then the pilot have a local, let's say, community or stakeholder. So the municipality will be a part of that committee. So we, as a project leader, we talk with the pilot, a place, and then the place talk with the local municipality. And then after the project, this process will be directly handed over to the local municipalities, and they will be the one who will be adding those information to the platform.
Okay, so they have to create human capacity to manage then the...
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm sure that's challenging.
It's very challenging because those people say that we don't know the technology, but they are using a Facebook. But it's even simpler than using a Facebook. But still, it's like that.
Have you seen already some impacts of your work so far in the project, or are you still in the early?
Yes.
Can you share some experiences?
So we have recently developed something called QR code scanning, which was part of this presentation or part of this meeting. In the beginning, they asked to scan and then they took our response. So similar to that, we are also having for this summer, we are pasting QR code in entire city. Okay. And then if you scan that code, it will lead to that point of interest, which I was trying to show. And then you can find all the descriptions and all the videos and audios, a real story behind that.
Okay.
So that practice we are going to follow in this summer.
Okay, good. I'm sure it will be successful.
Yes.
With a good team. I think
one of the participants from our list is also a pilot, Orestes, I think. He's part of Ficardo team from Cyprus.
Do you think, are you happy with the project so far, Orestes, bringing you to the discussion?
Of course, absolutely. We are also seeing the impact, and we are also seeing the cultural tourism taking form, because our pilot is about a little rural settlement in the mountain of Cyprus, close to the capital city. And because in the mid-20th century, the urbanization trend just led people to abandon the countryside, and everything was falling apart. So the people who are actually living there now are about 5 to 6 people. They're very, very old. They have no touch with technology. So this is one of the ways to, as Kashyap said, to expose tourists to this place through electronic platforms, digitization, and other tools. And we are already seeing people, just from presentations that we do with communication and dissemination of the project, we are seeing people taking an interest in it. They are going to the villagers interact with them, and they get to decide also the level and the form of impact that these strategies have to the local community. They can decide which way to go.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, like, do digital platforms help support tourism or like or attract tourism? And what you're saying is they're attracting tourism as well, so they are fulfilling the goal of the project for destinations that weren't so famous. But not taking away from Kashyap, I think it's interesting to know, how do you then manage the level of impact that these small locations want on tourism? Like, imagine if a lot of people come in and they're not even prepared for that flow of tourism.
So that's why we talked about the actions, right? So before developing this ICT platform, we went through something called action card, and that was the process. The first one was discussing with the local stakeholders what they want, and they told that we want this, and then we talk with the project coordinators that would it be possible to implement this in this project, because something cannot be done in the project because for that we don't have a fund, we don't have a manpower.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So taking all that account for all the different places in the Europe as a pilot, and then we came up with a generalized solution, which is this platform.
Okay.
And the beauty of this platform is it's a self-sustained platform. Like, you create your account, you use a service, you delete your account. There is no man in middle. So imagine if a new site want to be part of the project, they can register, they can be part, they can use the services.
That's wonderful, because one of the things that European projects struggle with is the legacy they leave once it's over. And how is the continuation of the work moving forward when the project ends? And that is like a clever answer to it when the platform is self-sustaining, well, to an extent, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you need money to keep it running in a server.
Yes. But still, like, there is no man in middle, so you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Good. So when does Texture end? What
It's December 2024.
Okay. So you're kind of like in the last year.
Last
third, maybe?
Last stretch, you can say.
Okay. What were the final question for you, Kashyap, the main difficulties in the process and in the project?
Yeah. So the main difficulty was to coming up with a generalized solution. As Orestes mentioned, their pilot site, hardly 4 or 5 people lives there, where we have something called Undbin land. It's in Germany. It's connected with 3 different countries. So they are small, tiny houses, and those houses are like in thousands and tens and thousands, and the area is bigger than the entire country of Cyprus. So you can imagine the diversity from the scale from one pilot to another pilot, and having that generalized solution is a bit difficult because a project cannot cover everything.
Yeah. Okay. So,
but we have a pilot from VRA, so they are Ukraine pilots. So those were the difficulties where they were not able to talk, they were not be able to participate in anything. Their need is now different than what was actually when the project was registered. So
yeah, it keeps changing also to add up the difficulty.
Yes.
Okay, so but it's good to know that somehow with all the different realities, the common denominator was the digitalization and the platform, which is very interesting as like a direction for the future also, I think, for something that is sustaining tourism, whatever the context. So very good. Thank you, Paula, from my side, and for the speakers, I think this is all.
Yes, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we are coming to our end of the meeting. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Anna, Katja, and Mitya for your invaluable collaboration in this meeting. Just very, very fast, we would like to show you 3 open calls from institutions that could be interesting for you about cultural heritage and sustainable cities. These calls are open now, and probably they will have during the next month the opening dates. So if you are interested in any of them, you can write us. We can provide you with more information. And just a little small thing, we would like your collaboration. So we will share again the Slido. We are preparing now the next meeting. It should be the 12th meeting already. And we are going to discuss about smart mobility. So we would like to know your opinion about this topic. So please feel free to have your opinion, and we will have a look when we have all the answers. So thank you very, very much once again. Thank you for joining us this meeting. And on behalf of Eurada and the Positive Project, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for your presence this morning.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Enjoy your
Bye.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.